Long time no see. Welcome back to my channel. I have Sadie here hanging out with me today because she wanted to be in my filming space. But anyways, I feel like it's been months since I've actually got the chance to film. As you can see, I finally have my voice back so I can actually talk again. And today, since it is the end of the year, I will be filming a massive book unhaul because I have a lot of books I'm getting rid of to make room for more new books coming in for the Christmas and my birthday month next month. So it was time to get rid of a bunch of books. And also, I'm moving once again. I bought a house. So in the whole month of December, we'll be in the process of moving. So I'm just like, I don't want to move all these books I don't really care to read again. So I'm going to go ahead and unhaul them to make room for more books. So let's get right on into this video. I'm going to be quick. I'm not going to really go into descriptions or anything like that because I am unhauling a lot of books. I didn't really count how many I'm unhauling before I started filming. But there's going to be a lot. I have like 2 boxes overflowing with books sitting here beside me. So let's get right on in, and thanks for watching. So I'm going to break this video up into 3 different categories. I'm going to start off with the books I read, then I'm going to move on to the books I DNF'd, and then the third category will be the books I didn't read that are on my TBR and I lost interest in. So I guess we'll start off with what I've read and am unhauling. So first is Beach Read. Read it, just don't feel like rereading it. It was okay. Head Over Heels. Read it, but didn't care much for it. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Read. It was alright. Won't reread. The Blade itself. I read it. I just wasn't getting into the story, so won't continue on with the series. The Wife Upstairs. Read it. Thriller, so don't care to reread it. Supernova Era. Read it. Didn't care much for the story. Noah Can't Even. Read it, but won't continue on with the series. The Unhoneymooners. Read it, probably won't reread. Peaches. Read, won't reread. Magic for Liars. Read, but won't reread, but I did enjoy it. The Last Time I Lied. Read it, did not like it very much, so definitely won't reread. The Flatshare. Read it, I enjoyed it, but probably won't ever reread. The Boy in the Red Dress. I read it, really did enjoy it, but I probably won't reread it because it is a kind of like a mystery thriller, so once you know the ending, there's no point rereading it. The Space Between Worlds. It was okay, but probably not something I'm going to reread. Descendant of the Crane. Read it, thought it was kind of rushed, so probably won't ever reread it. The Prophets. Really hard-hitting read. Did enjoy it, but probably won't reread it, but I do recommend this book. Ariadne, I always butchered pronouncing this name. Read it. Didn't care much for it, even though I do love great retellings. Aurora Rising. Started out very strong, so strong I went ahead and bought the second book, but then the ending really disappointed me, so made me not want to continue on with the series. Skullduggery Pleasant. I read the first book. It was alright. However, I don't really plan on continuing on with the series, though it is a good middle grade if you are looking for something interesting to read or are a younger reader that enjoys reading middle grade. The Truth is a Cave in the Black Mountains. It was a good short story, not something I'm going to reread, and didn't care much for the illustrations, honestly. Don't Call the Wolf. I read it. It was okay. Probably won't reread, though. The Last Magician and the Devil's Thief. Really strong book. This one was kind of weaker, which made me not want to continue on with the series. A Deadly Education. This was a chore to read. I really wanted to love it. However, didn't care much for the main character, which is why I'm not going to continue on with the series. Home Before Dark. Read it. Thriller. Probably won't reread because it's a thriller. Once you read it once, don't want to read it again. However, this was a very enjoyable read. Anxious People. Read it. It was okay, but not my favorite work of his. So this next section consists of books that I DNF'd. I really wanted to enjoy them. However, I couldn't get through them and wasn't going to force myself to finish them because there's more books I can read that I would enjoy more. However, you might like some of these, so I'm not going to diss them because we each all have our own reading taste, so some books that I absolutely hate, you might actually love, so that's why I'm sharing them here. First is Fortuna Sworn. I got about halfway through. I just wasn't connecting with the story and just kind of DNF'd it. Arsenic and Adobo. This is a mystery thriller. However, that's not normally a genre I lean towards, and it was a book of the month pick that I thought the cover was interesting, so I wanted to check it out. However, I just couldn't get into the story, and therefore I DNF'd it. The Revisionaries. This is a book I only got about 30 pages in, and again, I just wasn't vibing well with the story, so I didn't want to force myself to continue on. Plus, it's pretty chunky of a book, so it's going to be a big commitment to read through. So I figured after the first 30 pages I wasn't vibing. There's no point forcing myself to continue on when I have so many other large books on my shelf to get through. The Forgotten Beast of El. This is a classic I was trying to read. However, I found myself 50 pages in and I had no idea what was going on. I was just zoning out while reading because the writing style just wasn't meshing well with me. 56 Days. This is one that is a mystery thriller. I got about 30 or 50 pages in. I'm not even sure how far I got in. However, I was just not vibing well with the story and found it really hard to get through, so I DNF'd it. Call the Corner. I really wanted to get into this one. However, again, it's like one of those mystery thrillers set in like a real world setting, and I am a hardcore fantasy sci-fi person, so I was having a hard time connecting with the characters just because it's not a genre I typically read. Ursi. I got through the first book of this. However, the writing, it just was very like kind of blah to me, so it was a shorter read. I wanted to try reading it since it is a classic. It's just, it was a struggle, and therefore I wasn't going to continue on reading the other 3 books in this series. Any Old Diamonds. Again, this is not a genre I typically read because it's historical fiction. And I got about halfway through, and then it just kind of lost interest and never picked it up again. Winter's Orbit. I really wanted to give this one a try. However, I couldn't make it past like the first like 3 or 4 chapters, and I was just utterly lost. I felt like too much was thrown at me at once and it was hard to comprehend, and therefore I kind of DNF'd it because there's no point continuing on with the book. I was completely lost in and couldn't find enjoyment in. These next set of books are books that have been on my TBR for quite a while. However, I never read them because either I lost interest or they were the next in a series I stopped reading. So that's why I'm unhauling them. First is Into the Dreamin'. I found this at a thrift store and realized it was like the middle of the series. And I didn't want to commit to a whole new series. So I'm just kind of unhauling it because I just don't want to commit to something new right now. I have the second and third books of the First Law trilogy. I already talked about the first one earlier. I didn't enjoy the first book. I bought this as a set of 3. Like the whole trilogy in one, and I didn't like the first one, so I'm not going to force myself to read the other 2, but I'm sure other people will enjoy them, and I have seen a lot of people raving about this series. It just didn't mesh well with me. Aurora Burning. As I mentioned before, I read the first book, really loved the first half, which is why I went ahead and bought the second book. Probably should have finished it first before I bought the second book, because the ending just for me, and therefore I probably am not going to continue on, but I'm sure other people will enjoy this. Reincarnation Blues. This has sat on my TBR for a really long time. I never picked it up, and I've just lost interest in it and don't feel like continuing on with the series. Radio Silence. Another one that's been on my TBR for quite a while is young adult, which is not a genre I've been meshing well with it, especially because it's contemporary. That's why I'm unhauling it, because I'm probably not going to enjoy it because I've kind of outgrown the young adult contemporary genre. A Dangerous Fortune. It's sat on my TBR for a while. I got it trying to like have a challenge reading books that were popular on the day I was born. However, the first 3 books I read on that list were misses, so I didn't really want to continue on because I was very disappointed and just was like, meh. Bitten. Sat on my shelf for a while, lost interest, and didn't want to commit to a whole new series. Countdown Days Volume 1. Realized this was never completed, and I don't want to read an incomplete manga series. Alice and Red Queen. I have had these sitting on my shelves for a while. However, I just don't want to read them. I kind of lost interest, and they're not a genre I typically read, so probably not going to pick them up. The Bard's Blade sat on my shelf for a while. I've lost interest, and I really don't want to commit to a whole new series. A Lush and Seething Hell. I bought this thinking this was a whole story, then turns out it was a collection of short stories, and I don't really want to read a whole bunch of short stories. I want to read a whole book if I'm going to buy a book. I'm not a big anthology type person. That's why I'm unhauling it. After the Flood, I bought this because I really thought the cover was pretty. However, after sitting on my shelf for a while, I realized I'm probably not going to get around to reading it anytime soon because it's not a genre I typically read. It's kind of like a dystopian type stuff, and dystopians are just kind of hit or miss for me, so I didn't really want to commit to it. Disclosure. This is another one that's been on my shelf for a while. It was part of my challenge of reading books popular the day I was born. However, with the other books being misses, I didn't want to continue on, so I'm unhauling this one. Last but not least, The Magpie Lord. I tried reading one of the previous author's works. Historical fiction just wasn't meshing well with the writing style, so I didn't even try picking this one up. So that's all for the books I'm unhauling this time around. It's quite a bit, 2 full boxes. I didn't really count them as I was going through them, so if you kept count, you can comment below how many books you counted that I'm unhauling, because I'm too lazy to go back and recount them because it's been a long day of working. But anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time, because hopefully I'll get some more videos coming out once I'm fully moved and stuff, and can actually talk again for long periods without coughing my head off or sounding so hoarse. So I guess that's it for today, and I will see you guys next time.